Okay. Hello.
Hello. We were just sitting here talking and we were like, well, we should be filming this.
Yeah, so we said all the good stuff and then we forgot it. Oops. So you're getting whatever's left. This is our review of our first book club pick, The Whisper Man by Alex North.
Yes.
So Kaycie, you were the one, you were the one who was supposed to pick this month.
Yeah, that's true. I was the one.
So what prompt did you pick? Because they don't know the prompts.
That's true. I picked, I think it was initially a book from the dollar store, which we thoroughly attempted to do. But we went to a couple different, and there was like no books.
There was like kids coloring books.
Yeah, which
and
is
I
not
found
helpful.
some pretty good books at the dollar store before.
Yeah, me too,
but
actually.
Just, I don't know, we're
That
each other's
day,
bad luck charm.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it didn't end up happening.
Yeah.
So we decided to change it slightly and just said book from a non-traditional bookstore. So we went to, I think it was Walmart.
It was Walmart.
Yeah.
And then it also works because we don't read much thriller horror books, so it could be New Year, New Me.
Yeah, exactly.
Which also works. But yeah, this book is always in like Shoppers, Walmart, any place that sells books that isn't a bookstore. Like it's been there, and it's always a bit cheaper than a regular book.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which was
we got both of these.
I think it was 2 for $15.
Yeah, 2 for $15.
Pretty good.
So yeah, because we thought people are poor after Christmas.
Yes.
So let's give them something cheap,
a bit more affordable.
Yeah. So what did you think of this book?
I was very pleasantly surprised. I'm not gonna lie. Going into this, I definitely thought it was just gonna be like, you know, I don't know much of horror, but I thought it was gonna be kind of like a cheap thrill, like, you know, classic horror kind of.
You're sitting there going, okay, I mean, like, if this was a movie, I'd be scared, but I can just close it and
it's fine, you know?
Yeah, I can just walk away from it.
Yeah, exactly. But very pleasantly surprised by it. Like, I really enjoyed this book, and I would definitely recommend it.
Because, last night I finished it literally today. I've had the whole month. It's the 27th.
I didn't do much better. I finished it last night, so.
True, but you were ahead of me for so long.
Yeah, it just took me forever to
I texted my aunt. I wasn't even done it, and I was like, you love horror, you need to read this. Because I have read a couple horror books in my time, never gotten goosebumps.
Yeah.
Never had to stop reading because it was too intense.
Yeah.
I was like, there's a giant-ass mirror on this side of me, and there's a bunch of windows level with the floor, like the outside ground on this side. Let's put the book down and go to bed.
Honestly, there are some, like, truly terrifying lines in here.
Yeah.
And I think the way they're set up, it's just perfect. Like, it just works so well, and you're just sitting there reading that line. I found, like, I guess we should say, so there's multiple perspectives in the book.
We should talk about the book a little bit before we keep going on.
Explain.
So, do you want to take over that? Because I keep forgetting everyone's name.
Oh, no. I do, too. So, it's going to be fun.
Because when I was filming, if you've seen our vlog for it, which someone here didn't do as much as me, but that's fine.
I did one. I did one vlog. I said I would do 4, and I did 1.
Well, you're getting used to it.
Yes, I'm not very good at it.
If you have just met us, Kaycie is very fresh to BookTube.
Yeah.
I have my own YouTube channel where I do videos like this all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm more used to just picking up the phone and going, oh my god, this happened.
Exactly.
And she's used to just reading books.
Yeah. So I have to get used to it, for sure.
Yeah, but you have 12 books to get.
Yeah, exactly.
You have 12 opportunities.
I'll get better.
So I'll just look at the back. So it's about this guy named Tom, who I didn't know that was his name until like a quarter of the way through.
I was gonna say,
because no one says his name, really. And I forgot it was on the back, so I was like, the dad.
Yes, seriously.
But Tom's wife, Rebecca, has died. Him and his son, Jake, moved to a new town called Featherbank to begin, like, for a fresh start. Yeah. It's one of those.
Yeah.
And then there's also this dark past in the town. 20 years ago, there was a serial killer named Frank Carter. He was called the Whisper Man in the title. And he killed 4 boys, one of which has never been found. And the cop who dealt with that is named Peter Wills.
Yes.
Willis?
I think I'm not sure. I always said Willis in my head. Peter.
And then there's a girl named Amanda Beck. She's the one taking over, like, on the current case, because another young boy has vanished.
Yes.
His name was Neil Spencer.
Yes. And from this point on, we'll just say spoilers. That should have been obvious, but yeah.
Spoilers will probably be in the title, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Quite extensively. So,
yes.
That is the premise of the book. And you get perspectives from all 4 of them, right? Yeah.
We definitely have Jake.
Yep.
Peter.
Tom.
We have Tom. Tom is first person, everyone else is third person.
Yes, which we were discussing. We thought was interesting. I don't pay enough attention to these details. So Claire pointed it out and I was like, oh yeah, I also definitely didn't notice that.
You had finished the book and I don't remember what part I was at, and I was like, oh, it's set in England. Because I saw they used the word rubbish. They've been saying mum with a U the whole time.
Which,
they call each other mate. I was like, these are weird Americans.
Yeah, what is happening?
It's not fucking America.
No, it's not America.
The author's from the UK.
Yeah, should have been obvious. I didn't even catch it, so cute.
But yeah, so
yeah,
we get all their point of views. We even get a point of view of the killer.
Yes.
I think we get his perspective three times.
Thrice.
I think it's 4 actually.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, at the end.
About 4 times.
And Amanda too, the other
police officer who's not as important to the story.
Yeah.
We were discussing this before this too. You said that it felt like even though she was like important
to the story,
she wasn't the main focus, but she did help move it along.
Yeah. You get really kind of inside the other characters' like emotions and like their heads, I guess, and kind of how they're feeling about the situation. And I felt like Amanda was a little bit more kind of, hers were where the plot was moving along. You still got her thoughts, but she was just kind of more on the sidelines, viewing the story as
because she was investigating Neil Spencer's disappearance,
which was the boy who had recently
the boy who had recently vanished. Pete investigated the original disappearances of those 4 boys, and I think it wouldn't have been as good as a book if Pete had been the detective on this case. He came to help once they realized they were connected. But if he wasn't
originally involved.
Yeah, but if he had originally been involved, I don't think the book would have been as good.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think that kind of goes to the one thing I really liked about the book was that it felt realistic.
Yes.
Even though it was like horror and there was some weird things going on, it felt like it could be real. And I think that's what made it so creepy, because you were sitting there like, oh no. Yeah. Like these things could happen.
And it's terrifying because it wasn't like a fantasy horror. It was a human horror.
It was human horror.
There was this character, this little girl who Jake sees all the time, and he talks to her, and for the first however long, it's like, this is a ghost. He's talking to a ghost. But then, and there's this part where, because when they move into their new house, he's talking about the boy in the floor.
Oh, that was one of the creepiest
lines. I'm literally getting goosebumps right now, but he's talking about the boy in the floor.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my god, the ghost is telling him about that, because that part wasn't his point of view.
Yeah.
But it's not the ghost. The ghost is just a memory of a photograph of his mother that he's talking to try and get over the trauma of her death.
Trauma. And I really like to, they kind of left it open-ended.
Yes.
I'm just going to skip to the end. There was a part, because right at the end,
she has less sticky notes than me, so it's easier to find things.
He's talking about a character that has passed away and something that he wouldn't have known. He says that out loud. And so I think they kind of left it open-ended to be like, okay, so is he actually
or did that
ghosts,
character accidentally let it slip?
Exactly. It could have been in multiple things. And I think that is what makes it creepy. And there's a couple instances like that.
Yes.
There was another scene where, here. So Tom, the dad, is looking at articles about the previous owner. And he's hearing creaks from upstairs, and when I was looking through
the whole fucking house away. Oh my god!
And when I was looking back, I realized I assumed, most horror, you kind of find out what's been going on. He mentioned creaks throughout the book, but we never get an explanation for that.
Yeah, but it's also a really fucking old house.
Of course, right?
So it's
all old houses, everyone has that. I've heard creaks when I'm home alone, and that's what makes the horror kind of fun. Is because that's never explained. That's just kind of to add to the.
But it's always the creaks come before something scary happens.
So it's really interesting.
So just the atmosphere that the author has set up is really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm like getting goosebumps just thinking about this book.
That's really good.
Like it's so good.
The other part of it, like you said, I liked that you used human horror because
yes, it's not really fantasy horror, it's human horror.
It really focuses on the characters. It, like I was telling Claire before too, if anyone's seen The Haunting of Hill House, this gives me the same kind of vibes where you're focused on the characters and the horror bits are kind of integrated into like very human things. So this is really strongly about father-son relationships, and like that's kind of integrated into all of it. So the relationship between the Tom and Jake, but then also between, we find out one of the big plot points,
Detective Pete is Tom's dad who left when he was younger, and he was like an alcoholic. Like he's a lot better now. That was actually another part I liked. Throughout the book, he struggles, especially when Neil goes missing. He struggles with his past because, like, this is exactly, like...
It's bringing back all the trauma.
Yeah, it's bringing back the trauma, and he, like, throughout the whole book, fights to not drink again.
Yeah. It's really interesting how they explored that. I really liked that.
At first, back when I thought this book was going to be, like, a cheesy one, I was like, here it is.
Oh, okay.
What a man pain scene.
What a man pain scene.
I kept writing, like, oh, that's a lot of man pain. Like, a man with pain.
I know.
You know? Like...
Yeah. But honestly is it gets really emotional. Like,
I did tear up a lot.
Yeah. Especially the ending, because he dies.
Pete dies, and it was really sad, because he, like, has all these memories, even though he was, like, really stabbed. I thought he was gonna survive, and we had different ideas of what was gonna happen. I thought he would live, and Tom also gets stabbed in the end. Yes. By the way, we need to know that. I thought he would live, and Tom would live, and Jake would live, and they would be able to, like, heal together.
Yes. Okay.
You thought.
I thought that Tom, the dad, was going to die, and that, what's... Pete, thank you. See, blanking. I'm so horrible with characters' names. Anyway, Pete was going to get, like, a second chance at fatherhood and raising Jake. So that's what I thought was going to happen, and I guess we were both wrong, and Pete died, and then it was...
It was Jake sad.
And Tom.
I didn't even know he was dying, because the chapter...
No, it's very... I loved how they wrote this chapter, too. It was one of the things I wanted to talk about, too.
Do I have it?
I think I do.
Marked. It was... Fuck, I don't remember what chapter it is. It was talking about when you die, like, life flashes before your eyes, but he knew that was wrong because he was more alive than ever, or something like that. Yeah. And it's like, and then he died anyways. Yeah. Yeah, Pete remembered hearing that your life flashes before your eyes when you die. It was true, he realized now, but it also happened when you were alive. So I just, now that I'm reading that again, it says how fast things went, he thought, and then it goes into his backstory of his whole life, so now I guess it makes more sense that he was dying. Yeah. It just, but I was in the moment, at that point. In the moment, and then, oh my god, it was so sad. So, when he left Tom as a kid, his mom would let Pete back if he was sober. And he would go up and hug Tom in the night. And Tom had this imaginary friend as a kid called Mr. Knight. Yeah, it was Mr. Knight. I called him Mr. Cuddleman in my notes. And then I remembered that's not right. Yeah. But and then when Pete is dying, like, somebody comes in and gives him a hug.
And that's his, like, last memory.
Yeah, and it's his son.
It's his son giving him a hug.
Fucking broke me!
It did. Like, it's honestly so emotional, and I think that's why it reminds me of Haunting of Hill House. If you watched it...
I haven't. Yeah. So I can't agree or disagree.
But, yeah, like, it definitely kind of... It's the, you know, the humanness of horror, because, you know, the idea of, like, what haunts us, what we find creepy, how children interpret the world, and how their imagination gets mixed up in it, and how twisted that makes things. It's all over this book.
For the first, I don't even know how long of this book, it was like, throw the fucking kid away. Yeah. If my kid started acting like this, I would fucking kick him into the sun. I would creepy kid. Change my name. I would fucking run away.
That one scene where, okay, so there's, first of all, the part where I got really creeped out is when they're in the new house, and he wakes up, and first of all, there's a kid at the end of the bed. Oh god, he thinks it's his son, but then he's like, but it's a girl in a dress, and the hair is standing sideways, which is like
that's the
Jake's
ghost
friend.
girl.
Yeah, the ghost girl.
Yeah. Yeah. So was he just...
That's what I'm saying. That's why...
Was he just picturing it, or was she actually... Oh my god, I'm thinking about the scene, and look at my arms! Look at my fucking arms!
That's why, I mean, they hint that it's
Can we never
fake,
do a horror book again?
I know, it's really good. It's really creepy. Anyway, so he freaks out. Then he hears... what happens? He ends up going downstairs.
He hears whispering or something.
Yeah, he hears whispering.
No, he's worried about Jake. Because he thinks Jake is at the end of his bed.
Yeah.
And he's like, Jake, and then the thing is just standing there.
Yeah.
And then it vanishes. So he gets up to go check on Jake. And Jake is at the bottom of the stairs, sitting in front of the door, whispering. Oh my god,
I know.
My arms are, like, hurting. They're so goosebumped. I hate this.
He's whispering. And there's the part that creeped me out was that he could see fingers reaching through the mail slot.
Because at first he thought his son was just talking to himself, and he's like...
Which he does normally.
Oh, that's weird. Like, he's doing different voices.
Yeah, no.
And then there's fucking fingers.
And they were trying to convince...
You know what?
He was trying to convince
you know what? If you want free birth control, fucking read this.
Well said.
Read this book, because I don't ever want to see a child standing at the edge of my bed.
I know.
Like, I will
so creepy.
Kick it in the face.
Yes, terrifying. I forget where this was going. I don't know. I had
just
a thought,
that was a scary scene.
That was like the first. Oh yeah. I was talking about the kid. So.
Yeah.
And how kids, they have all these imaginations.
Yeah, and the night before, I think it was the night before, he was like, you better lock the door or the Whisper Man, or like, the Whisper Man's gonna come in for you.
Yeah.
That's when I first got scared, because the kid was being creepy.
He's a very creepy kid.
The dad goes downstairs and he locks the door, and then in the night,
that's when
Jake comes into his room and he's like, Daddy, there's like a monster outside my window. And then the dad's like, no, there's nothing there. Yeah. And he like, right when the dad's going to sleep, he lets Jake sleep with him that night. And right when he's going to sleep, he's like, but if you lock the door, how else is the monster supposed to get in? And I was like, I want to fucking kill this kid.
And the worst part is, again, we don't really come back to that. Because if you think about like the plot, it's not really realistic.
So we should say who the killer is. Yeah. So... To give you a bit more context, if you haven't read it and just want to hear people talk, we find out later on that the killer of Neil is the son of Frank Carter, who killed the original 4 boys.
Yes. Which, again, coming back to that idea of father-son relationships. Yes. So it's tied between really all of the characters, except for Amanda, who is kind of the witness of all of this, and she's also the only female perspective. So it's really interesting. Like, you get all father-son relationships, and you don't
and you see like different versions of them.
100%. Because you get a healthy one, an unhealthy one that ends poorly, and an unhealthy one that ends well.
Yeah. And like, so the son of Frank is Francis.
Yeah.
And fucking hell. This guy, the reason he kidnaps kids is they're like kids he wants to care for.
Yes.
He doesn't intend to kill Neil until it goes wrong. We don't really know how it goes wrong.
Yeah.
But we know it went wrong, and then he snaps. Mm-hmm. And then he's thinking, like, I'm gonna get Jake, and Jake's gonna be better.
Yeah, I'm gonna care for Jake. Because he takes kids that he thinks are unloved, basically. Yeah. So he thinks, I'm gonna take them, I'm gonna love them, I'm gonna show them love. Because his childhood was horrible, and
his dad would, like, make him watch him kill these kids.
Torture and kill these kids.
Because he wanted to, like, torture and kill his son, but he couldn't.
Yeah. So he's trying to basically save himself through quote unquote saving these boys.
Yeah.
So anyway, very messed up. Very
it's
dark.
So pleasant. Oh my god. My arms are in pain from all those goosebumps.
I know. Very dark, but it's interesting how you kind of get, that's obviously the toxic relationship between father and son. Yeah. And then you get the toxic relationship between Pete and Tom, but it ends up well, at least.
Yeah, because Tom has healed, his dad, like, Pete has healed.
And they come together.
And they come together to work together.
Yeah.
And, like, there's a scene where Tom is going out to drinks with a lady named Karen. And, like, he calls Pete.
Yeah.
And he's like, would you want to watch my son? Yeah. And that's kind of, like, their acceptance.
Yeah.
That is the only healing they get, because then Pete is stabbed.
Yeah.
And Jake is kidnapped.
Yeah. And then, of course, the good relationship is between Jake
and his dad.
And that was very, like, also heartbreaking, to be honest.
Because
it was really
this thing that
well written.
Tom always says is, even when we have an argument, I still love you.
Yeah.
So it's like showing, even if, you know,
we're angry at each other.
There's still love here. It just is a human emotion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it was really well done. And, like, they don't see eye to eye. He doesn't understand his son, and his son doesn't always understand him. So that's kind of...
And, like, they just lost...
Yeah.
Rebecca, the mom, who was like... She was the link.
Mm-hmm.
She was always the better one with the kid.
Mm-hmm.
Tom, like, doesn't know how to play with him.
Yeah.
He doesn't know, like... Oh, Jake draws, but he doesn't understand his art.
Yeah, all that good stuff.
So she was like the connection, and now that connection is gone, how are they going to do it?
Yeah, and through this experience, they do get to a point where they realize it doesn't matter. They just have to love each other and forgive each other and kind of figure it out together. So
they have to be there for each other.
Yeah, exactly. So you get all of this kind of real life stuff. You get the real life horror of, like, a serial killer who murders and kills, like, children, which is awful.
Yeah.
And you get the real lifeness of, like, family and loss and relationships, and I then overlaid with all this creepiness.
Yeah.
So it's just, like, a lot of different layers, and it works really well together.
It's so scary.
But I was laughing because this kid can be a little shit too. Like, there was this scene where, so he had talked to his dad about the boy in the floor. That scene where he's, like, talking in an angry voice.
No.
I forget where that was.
It was after the dude, after the fingers in the nail slot.
Yeah.
Because his dad calls the police, because someone's trying to...
kidnap his kid into opening the door.
Yeah. And he's already opened part of the door, because he trusts whoever's on the other side. Yeah. And then so the dad calls the police, and while the police are there, Jake, in this, like, angry, scary voice goes, I want to scare you. Throw the kid out, Tom.
I know.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and then the police are there, and then Tom said something about Rebecca.
Oh yeah, he said Rebecca's, like, he's dead. Like, my wife is dead.
Yeah, very bluntly, and it pisses the kid off, and the kid...
And then that's when I think that's when he says, I want to scare you.
He says it a second time, kind of like, I think that...
Yeah, like, remember. I wanted to scare you.
That scene just made me love this kid. I should have hated him, but he was so, like, blunt. I was like, oh, that was a power move. Like, that was impressive.
Like, I didn't hate him. I was just so scared.
Yeah, he's terrifying.
I really, like, so we read Imaginary Friend last year.
Yes, we wanted to bring this in.
We really... That's what I thought this book was going to be like. Yeah, Kaycie brought it.
I did.
Kid, like, this one is creepy.
Yeah. But
it's not as creepy, you know? The kids are weird.
Yeah.
But this, like, fucking throw him in the sun.
Right?
What are you... Why?
For me, this is the difference between, like you said, fantasy horror and then, like, the human horror. Because this feels like it's horror for horror's sake, even though lots of the same elements. Like, mother-son... just
dead
recently
parent,
lost a parent, moving to a new town.
Creepy
the kid
kids.
Is creepy. Like,
there's an old, like, disappearance murder thing that comes back up. They find. So in this book, the kid, I don't remember his name, who was murdered. They find his body in the forest.
Yeah.
Because not Jake. What's his name? Christopher is told to go dig there, or he just feels an urge
to go there.
In this one, Jake hears about the boy in the floor from Francis, who's under a false identity working in his school.
Yeah, but you don't know that, of course.
Yeah, you don't know that until, like, the end.
He's just seeing the ghosts.
Talk about it.
So the house that they move in, I guess we should mention that too.
Yeah, is like the haunted house of the town. It's terrifying.
It turns out that there's a boy.
The missing boy, Tony Smith. He's been missing for the 20 years. That's Pete Willis's big, like,
he wasn't able to find the last boy that
he never found him. He doesn't...
Whisper Man killed.
No one knows anything, but he knows he's dead.
Yeah.
Right? So his body is actually being kept in the garage of that house.
Yes.
Or the back shed.
So the boy in the floor. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the floor because every previous owner of that house ran this thing.
Like
undercover true crime. Like, I don't even know what to say it.
I don't know.
Yeah, like, if you're a true crime enthusiast, you go to this one dude in jail, You talk to him, you pay his wife a certain amount of money, and then you get to go view this corpse.
Yeah, the bones of the child.
Yeah, the bones of this child. And there's this one guy, I can't remember his name. There's one enthusiast that they take in for questioning. I found, something Collins.
Yeah, Norman Collins.
Norman Collins, yeah, that sounds right. I just flipped to the right part. He says, I'm not a monster, not like some of the others, and I wouldn't have wanted to damage the exhibit. They're talking about the corpse of a missing child.
Horrifying.
Like that, even if I had been allowed. No, I simply stood there, paying my respects. I fucking can't say that word.
Imbibing
the atmosphere. Yeah. You may find this hard to understand, but it was one of the most powerful hours of my life. And then he goes on to talk about how, like, it was like a religious experience to see this, because he follows, like, he follows all these
artifacts
things
of murder.
Yeah, and that's really interesting because of, like, the true crime community.
100%.
I can 100% see a weird fucks doing this.
I know, which is terrifying. That's what makes it terrifying, is that it's all believable.
Yeah, and then he, like, goes on to talk about, like, everyone who visits that one guy in prison is only doing it to go see this body.
And there's so many people over the years.
Because he was going... He tried to break into the shed in one scene to try and get to the body, because he wanted to take care of it and have it for his shrine.
Yeah.
And his house is, like, full of serial killer memorabilia. And it's really fucked.
It's really messed up.
That was a part that scared me a lot.
Yeah.
Like, that was
in a different
sick.
way. It's, like, terrifying. That whole chapter, there was something, the last line of that chapter was, like, really hit me. It was something about, like, I was in hell or something, like...
Yeah, when people started, like, disrespecting the bones, I was in hell.
Yeah.
And then, Pete goes to talk to the original serial killer, and he's like, why Victor? Like, why didn't they just come to you and you tell them where it is? And he says, if everyone could see God, how many people would bother going to church?
Yep.
And it's so fucked.
It's really messed up.
But it's true.
But it is.
Because, like, there are so many serial killer or, like, mass murderer, school shooter enthusiasts who... Like, they'll go to Columbine, and they'll be like, this is where Dylan and Eric walked. And it's like, okay, but you do realize they would have just shot you without a care in the world, right?
Yeah.
And,
completely.
Like, and this is why there's so many, like, killers and school shooters. There was a part where, I think Pete was talking, like, I wish we hadn't given him the name, the Whisper Man, because... It gives him an identity.
Yeah.
It gives him his power, and we shouldn't have allowed that. Yeah. And it's true.
It is true. Yeah.
You weirdos, you fuckers, are giving these people notoriety, so they keep doing it.
I know. It does actually
I really liked that part.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
Yeah.
And also just terrifying on a whole other level.
Right, because they're like, for years, people have known where this missing kid is.
And not...
His family has suffered
for many years. Pete
he's just in a box.
Been searching for these bones for like 20 years. Like, anytime he has free time, going out looking for this kid. And it's just, he's in a box. Yeah. Being put on display. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's...
Yeah, it's...
a different kind of horror, for sure.
This book's...
Yeah. Well,
oh my god.
There's another, like, completely off course. But I also just love the symbolism. We're going to bring it back to English class here for a second.
Okay.
No, but, like, there's some really interesting, like, just... I really liked the butterflies. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Yes, there are butterflies.
Obviously, like, if you look at the cover, the handprint is actually
if you look closer, you can't really see it, but those are butterflies, too.
Yeah.
Like, those little white bits, which I didn't notice. Like, I noticed the butterfly after a while.
I did not notice
and then I noticed those.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think I said in one of my videos, I'm curious as to what the butterfly symbolizes.
Yeah. So...
And I guess it's death?
Well, actually, I think it's the children. So, when in the shed, where the bones are found... when
Tom finds them.
Yeah, when Tom is looking, because this guy, Norman, is digging around in his shed, and he's like, what was he looking for? So he opens the shed initially.
And it's full of everything that used to be in the house.
Yeah, exactly.
The landlady just pushed it all in there, and he's like, okay. So he starts looking through it, and then he finds... like this stack of bricks or something, like, on the floor.
Well, but first, he doesn't find it at first. So he just sees butterflies.
Yeah, and there's 4.
And there's 4, page 96. And he talks about the butterflies, and he says he saw one, and he looked again, and he saw 3 more resting on the surface of the tinsel. These ones weren't moving, so perhaps they were dead. But glancing down, I saw another on the side of the lowest box in the pile, its wings moving as slowly and gently as breath. And there didn't seem to be much hope for them, except perhaps as meals for that spider. So there was a spider in the shed. So this is like, it's kind of like a metaphor for the kids. There's 4 of them. One of them hasn't been found. And that's the only one that's moving.
And then when he found the kid, when he finds the body and, like, unearths it. Oh my god. Yeah. See, here's the other thing. Since there's so many point of views, you have to wait so long. Like, I'm flipping through 3 chapters and I'm still not...
Yeah.
So he writes... Is this it? God, I don't remember where he goes to the thing.
I really like this while you find it. This one line. At the end of that chapter, it says, the butterflies didn't have a choice after all. That's what things do. Even in the toughest of circumstances, they keep living. And I just thought that was, like, a really good tie back to... Because really, it's about, like, a cycle of abuse. And how when one person abuses another, or when, it just gets into this cycle. Because we find out that Pete's dad also was not a great dad to him. And then he wasn't a great dad to Tom. And then it takes just, like, little things to change that cycle.
When we're gonna just go to when Pete dies, the line is, so when somebody hugs him, it's like, and even though Pete was all but lost in deeper dreams by then, he sensed the embrace, or at least imagined he did, and for a moment he felt understood and forgiven, as though a cycle had been completed or something found, as though a missing piece of him had finally been returned. So it's definitely
really about breaking that, like, cycle.
And also, I found the scene where the fingers are coming through, and I hate.
Oh, it's so creepy.
145, if you want to say anything more about that.
Yeah.
But, where is... Oh, yeah, because it's after that when he finds the body, because the police officers, as soon as he finds it, they show up to, because they want to question him again, because he said something about whispering.
Which ties it back to the Whisper Man cases, which no one in the public knew at that point that the 2 were possibly connected.
Yeah. I think I'm back on a Tom chapter. Yeah. I'm so happy his is first person. I just have to look for an eye.
I know, it's true.
Oh, damn. Oh my god, this guy.
Anyway, when he goes, I think it's about the butterfly crawling beneath the floorboards, but there's something else
There was a really good line about... Here we go. Okay, so when he finds it, it's... So he finds the dead body, opens it, a police officer calls for him, because that's like, they just get there as soon as he unearths it, and it's... Instead of answering her, I turned my attention back to the box in front of me, to the bones inside, to the small skull that was staring up at me, and to the beautifully colored butterfly that had landed and rested there, its wings moving gently, like the heartbeat of a sleeping child. So, like, the one living butterfly comes down and lands on the one missing boy who... Like, even though he's suspected to be dead, he's finally found.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I just loved that. And, like, the English lover in me is like, oh, symbolism. It's so cool.
Y'all need to go back to English class.
Yes.
Sometimes the curtains are blue for a reason.
Yeah. There's also, they keep mentioning, too, The Power of Three. It's a book that Pete used to read to Tom, and then Tom reads to Jake. I've never read the book, but I think it's interesting that they keep bringing it up, because it just relates to a lot of the characters. Also, like, the relationship between Pete, Tom, and Jake is like, the power of three generations, and how it all ties together. I just really like there's little things like that, like, just kind of to elevate it to that next level where you're like, oh yeah, this is good. I like this a lot.
It's really nice.
It ties it in. Even if you don't consciously realize it, it just makes it that much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but on the cover, there's like a little boy underneath the handprint with the butterfly. And then on the side, there's another little boy with, I think that's supposed to be the ghost.
Yeah, the ghost, his mother. Like, the image of her as a little girl, because you can kind of see the hair.
Yeah, sideways.
Is to the side.
But then who's this?
That could just be him again, because it's standing the same.
Yeah, okay, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. And then this one...
He's holding...
Nothing.
He's holding nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a little nugget for
He's
you.
holding nothing. He's holding the ghost girl.
Yeah.
The memory of his mother.
You find out that.
So Jake carries around this thing called the packet of special things. And this was actually my favorite reveal. Yes. Because throughout the whole book, it's like his special... No one's allowed to look in this. Like, his dad respects him enough to not look in it, which I loved.
I loved that part.
If I was a parent, I would find that very hard because I'm nosy.
I know, it's
another
true.
reason I shouldn't have
kids. He doesn't touch it. He respects his son enough to realize that that's his special
like privacy.
Yeah. He needs that privacy.
But when Jake is kidnapped, Tom looks in it because he's like, I'm sorry, I just need to feel close to you. And to, like, see what you keep, what's important to you. And it's a bunch of stuff from his mom. And then he finds this poem that's about the Whisper Man. I remember it was page 390 because yesterday when I was like, I don't think I can read anymore. I'm scared. Kaycie went, go to 390. So I flipped there.
I know.
And I read, I didn't even read anything. I saw the fucking poem and I was like, nah, we're going to bed. So I'll read it to you. Or unless you want to.
Sure.
Yeah.
If you leave a door half open, soon you'll hear the whispers spoken. If you play outside alone, soon you won't be going home. If your window's left unlatched, you'll hear him tapping at the glass. If you're lonely, sad, and blue, the Whisper Man will come for you.
Like, that's fucking terrifying. Okay, Kaycie wanted me to read that before going to bed.
Because that's the point where they reveal that Rebecca wrote this poem. So I was like, there's not a ghost. It's his mom. He's picturing his mom. He's imagining his mom. It was still
terrifying for me.
I know.
Because even though it's like, this is where Jake had learned the rhyme from his mother, I was still like, hate it here.
Yeah.
Don't like this at all.
No.
But then he's like, but that didn't explain where she heard it.
Yeah.
And then he does the math. Well, he keeps looking through things, actually, because that's the next thing. And he's like, oh, she used to live in this town. And he didn't know that. And there's a photo of her outside of the house that they now live in.
Because it was the haunted house of the neighborhood. Yeah.
Jake picked this house because he saw it in a photograph with his mother in the same outfit that his little ghost girl is in.
Yeah.
So that's when I was like, oh, it is the
blowing
mom.
In the wind, so it's sideways.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is,
and that's why, and
there's
that's
enough
why
of
it's
a
like
question to wonder if it really is a ghost or not. We still
but
really
then
know.
it's like, because he's only like what, a 7-year-old boy going through the trauma of leaving his mom and then getting
moved
stalked.
around, and then it's stalked by this killer
and then kidnapped. Like, you know,
you might imagine your mother as a child.
Yes, like there was, where is it? He was talking, because when they first get to the house, Jake is running around it. Yeah. Here it is.
Yeah.
I remembered how, when we first moved in, he had been running from room to room as though looking for someone, and my heart broke for him. I'd let him down so badly. It would have been hard for him regardless, but I could have I could have and should have done more to help him through it. Be more attentive, more present. Less wrapped up in my own suffering, but I hadn't. And so he had been forced to find solstice in a memory instead.
Yeah.
And so, like, when they move there, he runs around looking for his mom.
He thinks his mom is there.
He's looking for the little ghost girl and his mom.
Yeah. Yeah. It's heartbreaking.
It's so heartbreaking.
It's so good.
It's so good. My God. My grandma wants to read it.
I know. And now that we've spoiled the whole thing, you should go read it too.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else you want to say about it?
Honestly, like, I feel like this was kind of a jumble of random thoughts.
Yeah. So that's what reviews are.
Exactly. We'll see how this turns out, and it's our first one, so we'll learn as we go.
Yeah. But honestly, I think for our first one, it should have been a fucking romance novel.
I know.
Because here we are, because Kaycie and I don't
book.
Discuss books usually.
Yeah.
We just go, oh, how was it?
Good.
Oh, it was good. Yeah, I liked this part. Okay, and that's it.
Yeah.
So we really should have started with something with less plot.
I know, it's true. There was way too much to cover, and there's so many layers to it.
Well,
I
and
could
then
talk
there's another
for 3
part
hours
where,
about
like,
this.
Francis works at his... That's another part we forgot.
What?
Francis works at Jake's school, and he, like, draws Jake the butterflies, and he tells Jake about the boy in the floor.
So that is revealed.
That's why you're not sure if it's ghost.
Real or not. Did the boy in the floor come as a ghost and, like,
talk to Jake,
or did he get the idea from Francis, who planted that in his mind?
Yeah.
So it's all kind of left in the air. You don't know, and that's what makes it so good.
Yeah. I am...
Yeah. Read it.
I really loved this book.
Yeah.
I'm
surprised.
Giving it to family members.
Yeah, very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
And I think that covers like the major things I wanted to talk about. So
yeah,
we'll see how rambly this was, but thanks for coming along on this
thank
journey.
you. Next month, I could have brought it down.
Oh,
it's upstairs.
Okay.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Next week. In February, we will be reading Payback's a Witch, and at the end of February, you will get our vlog and our review like you did for this one.
Yeah.
And that one is a romance.
It is. I'm really excited.
So it'll be a lot less jumbled.
And hopefully a lot less jumbled.
Yeah, because you don't read as much romance as me.
No, I'm not as... Yeah, it's true. Yeah, these are both kind of foreign topics to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it's good. I'm expanding my book taste.
Kaycie doesn't see ghosts, and she doesn't
I don't do
partner.
love. No. Oh, man.
But no, I'm excited for that one. So we'll see you back. Yeah. We'll have some videos before then, of 100%. Course.
And please... share your thoughts. Have you read the book?
Yeah, if you've read this book.
Are you going to read the book?
Let us know what you thought.
What if you
do end up picking it up, let us know.
What you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree?
Yeah, like what are
we nuts?
We want to know your thoughts.
Like, yeah.
Is the child
it's a
creepy?
Book club after all.
Is the child creepy? Yes.
The answer is yes.
Because Kaycie was ahead of me, so she was like, no, I actually like the kid, and I was like, burn it!
I know.
Burn the child!
I liked the kid from the start because I felt bad for him.
I did too, but then he was creepy, and that's unforgivable. He was
badass
so scary. No, because
I
I was not at the part where he was badass. He was just talking to a ghost.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah,
so good, so good.
Anyways,
yeah.
Follow our Instagram down below. She's gonna start posting more.
Maybe.
Our third member, Maria, will hopefully start posting, but she does not read as much. Or if she does,
she's far away, so it's kind of harder to.
It's harder to like get her videos or to kind of plan for the Instagram, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna force them both.
Yes.
But since Kaycie's here, I'm gonna promise she'll start posting, because so far it's just been me.
I know, it's true. I'll get better, I promise.
Yeah. And then I also have a bookstagram that I run on my own down below.
Yes.
I post a short review of every book I read. So far I've read 8 books. So
I've read 1.
You can go.
I'll catch up.
Yeah, it's okay. Kaycie has a big girl job.
Yeah.
It's fine. But yeah. I guess that's it.
I think that's it. Thanks for
that has
watching.
Been The Whisper Man. We will see you
in the next one.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Have fun nightmares.